Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
3, 2, 1. Hello, Criminal Mischief Nation. Welcome back to another bonus episode with Carolyn and Branden. I'm Branden. I'm still all aglow from actually meeting the great Carolyn Osorio in person. Yes, it happened. I'd made a day trip up to Portland. She drove down from Seattle, and judging by how she drives with me as a passenger, I'm surprised she gets anywhere in one piece.
I am the passenger.
That being said, honestly, Carolyn, it was wonderful meeting you in person. We got a lot of great stuff done, and you weirdo, you were all nervous that we weren't going to like each other. I had no reservations at all. It was very seamless for me.
You know, I think that you actually had the ability to make me feel guilty when I was like, weren't you nervous at all? And you're like looking me with those eyes.
No.
And just being like, no. Because I'm like you said, a weirdo. Like things that people do would like annoy me, and I know that sounds really base and like real. I'm just being honest, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could
Sure.
Okay, like, let me give you an example. Actually, I can't, because that would be like, it's too close to home. But like, when we met someone and they didn't kind of meet our expectations, right? You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Right?
It's weird. Right? I wouldn't say met my expectations. I would say like kind of like all I wasn't like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. I was like, that's slightly kind of sideways to what I was expecting.
I know, but the stakes are a little bit higher for us, right?
Yes.
Because it's kind of a big thing, and they were like, everything was exactly like we would have hoped. I mean, I feel like too, like, once that awkwardness kind of got over.
But was there awkwardness?
No, just me being like, okay, let me just tell you, okay? I actually listen to the things that you say. Like, I'm actually a good listener. You know, it's my job to be a good listener. So in the past, you had told me that people who wear like too much Tide or weird cologne or perfume make you sick, right? So
Yeah,
so I'm sitting there thinking, we're going to be stuck in a car together. I don't want to make him sick. Okay. So I purposely didn't wear, I just think about things like that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's nice.
It is nice. I know. I'm just saying. Like,
I appreciate that. It's very, very nice of you. Yeah, very nice of you.
Yeah. I'm the awkward one, not you, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, it was great. I think we got great work done. It was wonderful meeting the Clark County sheriffs that were there.
Branden did so well. He was cracking jokes, and everybody was loving it. Talking about his surreptitious fucking sample, which is like, that's going to be on your tombstone.
They were trying to get me. That's the thing about freaking cops, man. They're always looking to arrest you, no matter what. They're looking to get you. They'll bust you in a second.
These ones weren't, okay?
Oh, yeah, they were.
Stop.
Yeah, they were. When I told them I wouldn't do a 23andMe because that's how they get you, they said that they'll swab the pen I was holding in my hand because it was Sheriff's Department property.
That was funny. That was funny. That was funny. It was great.
No, they were really good guys. They were really good guys and just dedicated professionals, you know, like the kind of cops you hope show up at your house, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's great to put a pin in it. It was great. It was awesome. We're moving forward.
Yes. So apologize for the late publication of this episode, Nation. If you're like an early morning listener, we had some internet connectivity issues last night, but here we are. Sorry. And hope you enjoy. So let's dive into part 2 of the Menendez brothers. So I listened I listened, and I wasn't much swayed off of my position, to be honest. Yeah, the look of shock on Carolyn's face and the silence should let everyone know how she's reacting to that. Yeah,
I
yeah, I
thought
was
for
not.
sure that you would change.
And here's why, and it might be an unfair characterization, but all we're basing this on, okay, is your interview with an attorney who wasn't involved in the case, admittedly.
Yeah.
And that doesn't
Mhm.
mean he can't speak intelligently about it. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
he's he seems more of an advocate than an impartial observer. And an advocate would have um, some intention behind what they're saying. Okay. And I
Yeah.
think he showed his colors a little bit. He made a statement that was patently false and somewhat ridiculous when he said, kind of in a judgmental kind of way, he said the United States is the only nation left that still kills its prisoners. Okay. And how many would you first of all, it's 100% wrong and easily Googleable. How many nations, industrialized nations, do you think still have the death penalty on their books on a federal level? How many would you think?
Mm, well, like, I mean, probably a lot of smaller countries that
Right, just
still.
when he said United States is the only nation that still kills its
Okay,
prisoners.
30, 30, 30.
55. 55 nations on earth still have
Mm,
the death penalty on their books. So, and listen, that's neither here or there with regard to relevancy or material, anything that's material to what we're talking about. All I'm
mhm.
saying, and I'm not trying to attack the guy either, but I'm just saying is that just, in my opinion, that just
Yeah.
kind of shows his advocacy rather than his impartial kind of judgment of the facts of the case. Okay, so
Well, I mean,
it's a
to be
credibility issue for me.
to be fair, I think
Yeah.
that I didn't. I think that this case is so controversial still and
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
polarizing still. And I think that when I went into it, I didn't really go into it with any kind of mindset either way because like I said, I hadn't
Right.
followed the case.
Yeah.
And as I was following it, my mindset changed. And I do think that I hope that they get released. Just my own personal opinion, based on what I,
Yeah, no,
you know,
I hear you, and I'm just trying to look
yeah.
at it really just honestly, honestly,
Hmm.
because what happened a lot in that second episode and a little bit in the first episode was your interview subject was really critical of how the first trial was adjudicated. Okay, none of
Yeah.
this was allowed, and no corroboration. No, 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 no. Okay,
The
if that
second
was,
trial, the second trial,
I'm
the
sorry, the
second
second
trial.
trial.
Yeah.
Correct. Excuse me, the second
Yeah.
trial that none of this was allowed in.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Hmm.
if that were really a problem in terms of there's laws of the court or jurisprudence or whatever, there would have been appeals. It would have been
There
overturned on
were,
appeal,
there
but it
were,
wasn't
but I mean,
overturned.
but see, here's the thing I think that is important too, and what
Yeah.
I guess what I tried to bring home in this episode, if I had a bias that I wanted to reveal or to assuage people, is just how, if I believe what Lyle said is true, if these were two sisters who were being
Mhm.
abused by their father, it would have been a
Allegedly.
completely, allegedly, it would have been a completely different situation. Or if he was,
And I'm not
or if
discounting
he
that, but
or if he
right,
was
I'm not
defending
discounting
the
that.
honor of or if hold on, or if he was defending the honor of his little sister, I think it would have been perceived as completely different. And I think that the bias back then against male on male rape and what they did to Eric and bringing up the fact that you know basically accusing him of being homosexual or gay,
Mhm.
and it's like that is disgusting. It's I mean, the fact that happened, I just can't. I believe it, but I can't believe it. You know what I mean? So
And
I just.
I'm not disagreeing with you on
Right.
any of that. But
Yes.
what I am saying is that
Yeah.
if any of those things were enough for a judge to say, yeah, you know what? these guys got railroaded. Let's give them a new trial. There's been 30 years to make those arguments and to get it overturned on appeal, and it never
I know, but
has.
I know, but you know what? I mean, look at how it's like depending on what judge you get. I mean, there's so many like factors that are what's going on in politics that are. I feel like this is such a
I
high
get it.
profile case,
And
and the
how many
fact that
fights?
they
There's an
did kill their parents. That's so hard to overcome. You know.
unlimited bites at the apple. You could file for as many appeals. Excuse me. You could file for as many appeals as you want, and I'm sure they have. And that would be my next. That would have been my first question to the person you were interviewing. How many times were these things brought up in order to get a new trial? And there is probably hundreds,
I think
probably
that there's a
hundreds of
limit.
times.
I don't think you can keep bringing it up. You go to the highest court, and they did that, and then it was done. And then unless you have new
New
evidence,
grounds.
that's
Right.
that then you have new grounds. But you can't keep
Right.
going with the same thing. They appealed it, I believe, twice up to the federal
Right. So
level, and then that was done.
so that's kind of making my point that they availed themselves of the justice system that anybody else would be able to avail themselves. Okay, but here's my final thing is that yes, I think they should be released for a very simple reason
Mm.
that the law's changed. If we're going by the law, like I'm saying,
Yeah.
go by the
Yeah.
law, trust the courts, have your faith in the courts. The law's
Mhm.
changed for sentencing guidelines for crimes committed before you're 26 years old. So
Yeah.
apply that to their case retroactively if you're allowed to. Great. And what would the sentencing guidelines be then? Great. And if that means that it should have been manslaughter or that excuse me, life without parole would be off the table because you're under 26, great. Apply that judiciously to the Menendez brothers. But this other stuff, um, I'm just not swayed, to be honest.
I just think that there's just mitigating circumstances that they didn't get a fair shake in that regard. And now that there's
And maybe you're
somebody
right.
coming out saying,
Maybe
and
you're
I
right.
think that they killed, they never said we shouldn't be punished.
Right,
Lyle
of
said in
course.
that interview in 1996,
Yes.
yes, we should be punished. We are not just, we should have just walked away, and we wish that we would have, but we know so much more about, coercive control and this
Yeah.
toxic masculinity and all this stuff. And it's like, so I think that people have a better understanding. And at the end of the day, they still should have walked away, but we know now kind of why they maybe didn't. And there's the mitigating factors to it. So I feel like it's just a really weird, controversial case. And
And
I hope they get
look, the Menudo
out.
aspect of it, I also have problems with. Excuse me. It's like we need to, again, and maybe I'm misreading the gentleman's statements here, but it's if we believe that the kid from Menudo was abused by the one guy, we also have to believe that he was abused by Jose Menendez. Okay, like that's kind of seemed like what he was presenting, right?
Yeah, that's what he
That
said. Yes, that's what he said. That they were
right,
confidants.
and
Jose Menendez and this Edgar Diaz were
right.
confidants.
Does that mean that they raped together?
I
I don't
don't
know.
know. I
Right.
don't
I
know.
don't either.
I
It
don't
just
know.
seems like
I don't know.
a really dark kind of connection to make where maybe there isn't evidence for it. But here's
Well,
my other issue with it. My issue is with the alleged victim that why keep quiet for 30 freaking years? For
because
30 years.
now I actually watched that documentary, and
Yeah.
it was based on the reporting of these. I don't have their names in front of me, but
Yeah.
amazing reporting. And they really dialed into the pride that Menudo was to Puerto Rico, and
Yeah.
also just like you were so lucky if you were selected to be, so many boys wanted to be in this band, and it was just there was this darkness, and nobody wanted to kind of face the darkness. And then coming out and saying this is what happened, he just wasn't ready. I mean, he ended up going through a whole bunch of turmoil, and it's really sad.
If you want
It's
to face
really
the darkness, if you want to face the
sad.
darkness,
Yeah,
watch the In a Shopping Mall music video. Okay?
in a shopping mall
That's
music video.
It's a joke, Carolyn. It's a Menudo
What?
song. That's fucking awful.
Please stop. You haven't seen this documentary and you can't joke. It's
I'm
so
sorry.
sad.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's
But
so
listen, but
sad.
again,
This kid,
again,
it was
listen,
so
national
sad.
pride, Latin machismo. I get it. I get all of it. I really do. But
Exactly. Okay,
hold on, but how is this guy had one fucking night's sleep in 30 years knowing that his statement, him coming clean and telling the truth, could have two other guys out of jail that are rotting in fucking jail?
Hey, Criminal Mischief Nation. The holidays are sneaking up fast, and if you're still debating about what to get your guy, I've got the perfect gift. Something he'll actually love and use, and like me, you'll reap the benefits too. Because ever since I got my husband the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver from Manscaped, something delicious has been happening. Leaning into my guy and feeling a smooth, clean-shaven face with just the right amount of cologne, it's nice. So the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver from Manscaped is like nothing my husband's ever tried before because it has two interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. And because there's two, that means his face is smooth as a baby's butt. But also the Chairman Pro comes with the skin-safe stubble trimmer because, a little stubble is kind of sexy. And with the trimmer, it keeps it from going sexy to, too much cowbell, okay? So this holiday season, treat him to the smoothest, irritation-free shave of his life. Trust me, he'll look so good, you'll be taking all the credit at every holiday party. Gift your man the ultimate grooming experience by Manscaped and get him the Chairman Pro package for the holidays. It's a thoughtful and practical gift that he'll actually use and love. Imagine that. And because you're a Criminal Mischief listener, you'll get 20% off plus free shipping with the code MISCHIEF at Manscaped. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code MISCHIEF, MISCHIEF, at Manscaped.
This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally, yes.
It's an absolute riot, and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time. What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Because people weren't believing the people. You have to watch I recommend this documentary. It's on Peacock and it's really good. But it's basically like that thing where, the people who came forward with these accusations were immediately shushed up to the point where this Edgar Diaz allegedly had so much influence and power. And then,
So
of course,
why do it now then? Why is it
because
different now?
because now he apparently he found religion in his life and he's a stronger person and he feels like the momentum because he went into this spiral of drugs and alcohol. He went through the whole thing, tried to commit suicide like 5 times. Like, this is not he didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell his because it was like his mom was a single mom and she was getting, the Menudo paid the bills and he would, he wanted out, but he couldn't get out, So it's just one of those things where it's like the Catholic Church, where it's like, how much of that abuse went on for so long, and the people who did come forward were shushed, or they were like described, just like blaming the victim. I mean, it's just the reverse with boys. It's a different the look with Eric. Okay, yeah, he's gay. He wanted it. What?
Yeah, no, I get it. All that's disgusting. All that is disgusting. I'm serious. And for one reason or another, an appellate court didn't want to hear it.
Because of the bias, Branden,
No,
because of the bias. Because if you got a judge who's like, this doesn't happen, but a father would never do this to his son. I mean, that's all it takes.
I understand, but I really have to believe that a judge, like a judge who is good enough at his job to get to the appellate level,
or her job,
their job to get to the appellate level, isn't going to go, nah, there's no way it could happen. Guys don't get raped. I'm sorry. I'm just not, I'm not buying it.
Okay. I don't want to get into politics, but I'll just say this. Look at our current Supreme Court. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, no, I listen, for their
You
faults,
think that
I understand they're maybe in the pocket of somebody. I get it. Uh, I still I still think that if it was as big of a miscarriage of justice as the new media around the case is claiming, that somebody would have heard it. Somebody would have heard it before now.
I think you can take a code, or I took a code or clue from that press conference where the attorney, and I don't know if you were listening closely enough to hear this, but he basically said what's important here about Roy Rossello's statement coming forward is that he was raped allegedly in the Menendez home, and that this was where Jose felt safe. And this is
Mhm.
where, so I don't think that I think he was, I don't want to give him credit, but I'm just saying I think he was smart enough to know, like, hey, I want to control this whole thing, because if this ever got out, you know, this would not be good for my for my career and my
Yeah.
machismo and who I am in this world. So everything's
Yeah.
going to happen in the house, and I have control over the whole entire situation. They're not going to believe this little kid. Edgar Diaz allegedly was in on it. So they just served this kid up on a platter. And how many times has that happened to young women? I mean, I totally, or girls, teenagers. Look at what's his face, the guy who um gosh, why am I spacing on his name? He recently died in prison. He committed suicide supposedly by with a
Epstein.
rope. Epstein. I mean, yeah. I mean, this is like, you know, and look at how that girl came for the witness, and that came forward. How many witnesses came forward? Look how long it took. These
Right. The
guys are
difference is that
kids.
no, right. The difference here is that it's been 30 years and that these guys are in jail, and they have attorneys and they have the ability to fight it. And so my thing is that, again, I think they should, if the new sentencing guidelines, which would have them released, they should be released 100%, based on the law. But based on this other kind of, you know which seems a little bit of sensationalism, or a witness after 30 years coming forward, like, where have you been this long? I would need more. I would need more to be convinced of it.
I just
But
think
it's
that
really interesting.
the shame is so deep, Brandon, especially with this
I
kind of stuff.
understand the depth of shame. I do, and I also understand the power of greed. Okay, so, and
Yeah.
that's the other side of this coin, is that it's not like there's no other explanation for why they would do it. There is another explanation for why they would do it. Okay, if they're
Mm.
greedy kids and they conspired to kill their parents because they wanted the money, because they started acting like that's what they wanted immediately afterwards. They're buying homes, they're buying Porsches, they're taking trips. Like, they went on a spending spree as if, like, yes, we finally got the money, let's enjoy the fruits of our labor that we've been planning this whole time, right? So it's not like there's no other explanation except that they were raped and that they were defending themselves. There is.
Mm.
So,
I mean, I think that two things can be true. That
mhm.
they did this, and then obviously they're young kids, and they even not even just young kids. I mean, just human nature. It's like, yeah, let's go on a spending spree. Let's forget that this happened. Let's whatever. Okay. I
Yeah,
think that can be, but to your point, when I first heard this story back in the early '90s, I was like, yeah, what
we
brats?
fuckers. Yeah,
Right. I was
yeah.
totally heard that narrative, and that seemed totally like, yeah, they wanted to kill their parents for greed, and I bought into that. And I just think that Eric coming forward and not being able to, the guilt was so, and I mean, they basically turned themselves in because Eric couldn't handle what they'd done, and then Lyle admitted to it too. But one thing that I think is also getting to me with this is just the sibling connection.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, they're tight. They were tight, and
Again, and
and
so they could trust each
and
other. Okay, to do some crooked shit. Listen, where I grew up, I did an episode on The Devil Within on this kid, because it turns out that my hometown in Jefferson has produced 3 serial killers. right? Which is 7,000 times the national average given
Yeah.
population density, right? Okay.
Mhm.
And this one kid that we grew up with, his dad was super rich. He was a pharmaceutical executive, okay? And his son was kind of a fuck up, okay? And would just burn through money and would do stuff. But then he came to his dad when he was like in his 20s and said, "Hey, I got this idea for a real estate thing. You finance it. I'm a construction guy. I'll buy the house. I'll flip them. We'll sell them. We'll make money. I'll make payments on the loan until the thing comes out." Dad goes, "All right, you know what? I'm gonna give you a shot. Absolutely, let's go for it." And for like 3 years, he's buying homes, upwards of 30 homes. Okay, and he's making payments to his dad. And then, beginning of the third year, the contract called for a balloon payment, a payment of like $1.5 million. Okay, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden his parents were dead and in a burn pit in his backyard. And he said that
Yeah.
he told the family that they had died in a car accident in South Jersey, leaving Atlantic City, right? Um,
Mhm.
and then everything that came out and unraveled was that he never bought a single house. Okay. It was like a Ponzi scheme, taking money from his dad, paying his dad back with a little bit of that money, right? And trying to maybe make something happen. And he did. And it was pure greed. And he killed his parents. So maybe
I
that is kind of
totally
coloring
under
my
I
opinion here, is that it's
I
not so outlandish. So
I get it completely, B-Dog. I totally get it, all right? What I'm saying is you didn't see them there as much testimony as I and watched it. And I think that it was so compelling and so real. There's and
I
to your
don't
point,
I
they
believe you.
could be great actors, but I don't think so.
Yes, I
And
believe
just
you.
the
I think they're
brotherly.
smarter. I think they're smarter than the kid I grew up in Jersey with, because again, going by this is not, I'm not saying that this is what I believe. I'm saying here's a viable alternative to the
Mhm,
story. Okay,
mhm.
is that they're like, okay, man, what will make it really difficult for people to discount? Let's say that we were raped by dad over and over and over again, and that will mean it was justifiable, and we just got to stick to our fucking guns no matter what. We're brothers. We're in on this together. We got to stick to our guns. And that sibling omerta, right? And because look what they decided to do. They shotgun blasted their parents to the face. Okay.
You
Yeah.
know what?
So
I have absolutely zero sympathy for your
of
compadre
course.
back in New Jersey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay?
Same.
None,
No,
0.
nor should you.
And nobody
Yeah.
will, right? But the reason
No,
why
nobody does.
the reason why exactly, the reason why
Yeah.
this case has gripped on and has like a million different documentaries and all of that is because there is okay, if it is true, it is just so tragic. And then the way that they've been dismissed and how people, do you know how difficult it would be to come forward and say that your dad did this to you for years and to
No,
like, I
yes,
mean,
yes, no, but yes, but that's what I'm saying. Try to look at it from the point of view of a high level hustle, right? Like, what's the most outlandish thing that no one would ever think we would make up? Because how was it going to make us look, right? Like, if Colin, my friend
I
from Jersey who
get it.
did this, what if he said, "I killed my dad because he'd been raping me for so long," and you can't refute it because they're dead.
I get it, but I don't
Yeah,
think this is the case. I just don't. I
I get
think
it.
I
I know, and I
believe
respect your opinion.
that
I really
I
do.
be-
I really do.
I believe that that could be true. And believe me, I've got 5 kids. Like the idea that
Yeah,
one of them is going to blast me away is not
pretty
something
good
that I want
chance. Yeah,
to
pretty good
make.
chance. Oh, I thought we were going by numbers. I'm sorry. Yeah, no chance. There's no chance that
Okay,
that'll happen.
okay. Anyway, the point is, it's not like I'm into like giving people free chances for doing like horrendous things, like blowing away your parents. But I do think that this case really, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that it's doing good, but I think that it's not. But like, I think that it's doing good in the sense that this whole it just was crippling to hear that they were accusing Eric of being gay and that he wanted that. That's the kind of bias that we're up against. Back then. People just didn't want to believe it. It's so icky. It's so awful to think about. And it's like, we just want these Menendez brothers to go away. And it's more simple to say they were greedy little shits and that's why they killed their parents. That's why they did it. Right.
I don't think it's more simple to say. I think that's an oversimplification of the argument. I think that that was what was more likely with regard to for the prosecution to make the best case to a jury. Okay. That there was the most evidence for that. Now, it wasn't simple by any means. I just think that
pandering to their bias against, boys being raped.
Well, I think also you're cherry picking one or two statements out of an entire trial. It wasn't like Eric is gay was the bedrock foundation of their case. It was a couple of questions during cross-examination, right? It wasn't like our contention is that he's gay and that he liked it. That was a couple of questions during the cross-examination.
That's a pretty huge thing when you're making it a part of like the bias towards the brothers. Like to even say something like that is
look, it's the prosecution's job. I get it. It's dirty. It's dirty.
Equivalent of saying, what was she wearing? Who was she hanging out with? Like what, it's all that kind of stuff. That's what it is. And so that's why I'm reacting to it, because it's like,
it's because the prosecution knew how outlandish and how potentially damaging it was if people believed it. Okay. If the jury believed that they were being raped by their dad for all of these years, they'd find some sympathy, because they did in the first trial.
Exactly.
Okay?
They should have, the second trial, they should have allowed the abuse and they should have allowed the manslaughter and they should have gotten manslaughter,
and if they should have done it, if they legally should have, then it wouldn't have been upheld during the appellate process. But it was. So there obviously wasn't, at least back then, prosecutorial misconduct or anything that would allow it to be turned over on appeal.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
But
let's see.
If the sentencing guidelines have changed, I still think they should be released.
Yeah, that's absolutely like, yes, there's no emotion in that. That's basically the way that it is. Like if they had been, back in the day, 26 and under, they would be out by now.
Right. And I think they did it because they're greedy. Okay. So,
I'm going to take that nose and I'm going to wrench it. See these fingers? It's like twisting the nose off. I should have done that when we were together. I should have done that. I should have taken the opportunity.
I gotta tell you, that pizza in Little Vancouver, Washington was really, really good. I wish I remembered the name of the place. But you should, all of you should go. It's like 3 blocks from the sheriff's station, which everything in that town is 3 blocks from the sheriff's station. So that doesn't really help you. But Vancouver, Washington, great to meet you. Portland, nice to be back after 30 years. And it was wonderful to meet you up there, Carolyn.
It was great.
And I look forward to seeing you again. Come on down to LA. We'll host you. We'll host you down here. You can meet the bird in person. Well, Nation, hope you like this. Hope you like this. And listen, leave us some comments, what you think about the Menendez situation. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you know someone who might benefit from this episode, please share it with them, and head over to Apple Podcasts if you are so inspired, and leave us a rate, excuse me, rate us and review us. Excuse me. And please consider.
Is your spine twisting? Is it raining in LA?
The great companies that support our show, because we couldn't do it without them. Carolyn, anything you'd like to add? Forgive my little coughing fit. Sorry. All right.
No.
Well,
I'll see you next week.
Until next time, everybody, stay safe out there.
From Cloud 10, Criminal Mischief is a pie-in-the-sky production recorded in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself. Music by Soundstripe. I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.